let it be known that Jake does not want to do it in my ring. So I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna beat him in.
Let me make it clear that Jake does not want to do this in my ring. I will defeat him in his own boxing game when I visit. Although Eddie Hearn isn't familiar with Mike Perry, he is aware that the BKFC star will face Jake Paul on July 20th, and when asked about the fight during an appearance on the MMA Hour, Hearn stated that Paul had a significant size advantage over Perry, so he didn't think Perry had much of a chance. Professionals have revealed their choice for the Jake Paul versus Mike Perry fight. Hearn stated that he had never saw Mike Perry compete, asking whether Perry weighed welterweight or about 200 pounds. He claimed that Perry had no chance whatsoever against Paul. You believe Mike succeeds. You think Mike. Are you aware that Mike Perry is a welterweight or something? He has fought at 170 in the UFC, but he has also competed at 185 in bare-knuckle fights. This is a cruiserweight match. What is the fight at cruiserweight 200 pounds? She has no chance at all. When Perry left the UFC in 2021 with a modest 7-8 record, no one could have predicted that his departure would spark a new chapter of triumph in combat sports in 2022, the gritty world of bare-knuckle boxing. Perry had become accustomed to being viewed with skepticism as a knockout specialist in the UFC's welterweight division. Becken and Perry took the call, entering the BKFC arena. Perry's first fight was a resounding victory over the former Ultimate Fighter contender Julian Lane. Perry kept up his rampage, defeating former UFC champions Luke Rockhold and Eddie Alvarez, as well as Bellator star Michael Venom Paggi. His most recent victory against Thiago Alves only served to increase his momentum and catapult him into the public eye and into a high-stakes boxing match against the infamous Paul Perry, who is well known for his adaptability in a variety of both weight classes, is moving up to 200 pounds for his next matchup against Paul, who is known as the troublemaker Jake. Paul has a history of winning against opponents who are noticeably smaller than him, including past UFC greats like Nate Diaz, Tyron Woodley, and Ben Askren. This has been highlighted in light of previous predictions that were incorrect with Ariel Helwani, the host of MMA Hour. Hearn revealed to Ariel that he didn't know much about Mike Perry, but accepted Perry's reputation as a tough person. Hearn warned against favoring UFC fighters and that he had predicted Francis Ngannou would defeat Anthony Joshua. I don't know Mike Perry, but I do know that he seems to be a tough man, so I wish him all the best because of their shared history. Hearn wished Perry luck in his endeavors, saying things like, "He's the face of bare knuckle, come on, have you seen Guy B. Ariel? This is who you told me Francis and G was going to be Josu." Hearn may have plenty of incentive to go up against Paul after their previous collaboration. They teamed up to promote the much-anticipated April 30th match between Paul's Amanda, one of the most valuable promotions, and Hearn's Katie Taylor of Matchroom Boxing. They are still working together for their November 15th rematch, but Paul later accused Hearn of manipulating the result of that fight, which resulted in a controversial split decision victory for Taylor. In reaction to that allegation, Hearn launched a defamation lawsuit against Paul, which is now pending as of this writing. Hearn visited Puerto Rico recently, just before the June 15th Liam Perro vs. Sabriel Matias event. Hearn put aside any unresolved drama for a friendly meeting with Paul. Hearn also mentioned that while having dinner at the hotel where he was staying, which coincidentally is where Jake lives on the resort, he felt a tap on his shoulder. Turning around, he saw Jake. Hearn saw that Jake was friendly during their brief conversation, and Hearn extended an invitation to Jake to appear on the show. The next day, Hearn said that although their differences have not been resolved, he is still willing to speak with them. "It's funny because I actually ran into Jake in Puerto Rico while eating dinner. The hotel I was staying at is actually where he lives. I turned around to find Jake there. Wow, that went well. We had a brief conversation, and he said, "You're welcome to the show tomorrow." That was it. The hatchet was really buried, that we still have problems. Still, I'm always open for a check. George Masvidal believes Mike Perry has what it takes to stop Jake. Despite not being overly excited about due to an ulcer flare-up on the same day, Paul will still compete in Tampa, Florida, against Mike Perry, an important source told MMA. Paul prevented the UFC's first-ever BMF champion. Insanity about the matchup, Alex Bahunin said, "I like it a lot more than the Tyson fight because he's having health issues. I probably wouldn't have watched the fight if I hadn't been motivated to see it, but I will definitely be checking in to watch the Perry battle." Massa 32, Vidal's analysis of Paul versus Perry struck a chord with many in the combat sports community. When Perry takes on the 9-1 Paul this month, it will be the first time since his disastrous boxing debut in 2015 that he has worn cushioned gloves. Perry demonstrated unyielding dedication when he made the switch from puck to bare-knuckle combat over the comfortable 4-0 UFC gloves. Masvidal thinks Platinum will rely on intangibles to prevail, hoping to take Paul's head off for the greatest victory and payday of his fighting career, even if the BKFC title holder may be weaker in terms of pure boxing skill and technique. Muscle examined Paul and Perry's battle. "I believe that I will lean toward Jake for the first 3 rounds because of his boxing range. However, I believe that after that, it will turn into a dogfight, and Perry will raise his hand. I have a feeling that Perry will be able to break Jake down by the 4th or 5th round because Jake will be exhausted from running around and bouncing. He will have to fight to find out who the bigger dog is." Model stated that he thinks Mike Perry is risk-taking and self-aware, especially when it comes to taking blows. Masvidal proposed that Perry may enter the fight and start throwing strong blows by using his ability to defend himself with bigger gloves. He projected that Perry would experience a mental breakdown. Jake after the 4th round, Paul saw Perry progressively pressing him, maybe to the point of forcing Paul to give up or knocking him out. Paul has persevered through hardship and battled with UFC legends in the past, but Perry, who is renowned for his unwavering determination both inside and beyond the octagon, could present a challenge for the troublemaker. Additionally, Daniel Cormier predicted that Perry will defeat Paul, saying that it appears Paul is now prepared to face more formidable opponents because Mike Perry is a fighter who will compete in any arena that is built since he isn't scared of, according to Daniel Cormier's perspective. Paul might suffer his second professional boxing defeat as a result of Perry's superior boxing skills. Paul has regularly faced criticism from the boxing community for padding his record with victories over lesser opponents. The 27-year-old started off competing against former UFC stars to acquire